Okay, here we go again. A new one. This one's completely different from what we've done. Let's see what we have in store. Alright, it's time to open another kit. This one I got for Christmas. Don't know a whole lot about this brand. All that I could find it was by Lovely Home. Haven't done one by these guys yet, but that's okay. It looks really cute, and really it doesn't matter who it's by, right? As long as it turns out cute. So let's go ahead and open up. We got our usual suspects. Everything in nice little bags. Here, all the lights, looks like there's some plants. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of plants that have to be made, but I haven't read the book yet, but there's a lot of pre-made plants. That's always hopeful. Some clear pieces, we'll figure out what that's for later. And then all the flats. So this is, I'm assuming, the building. And way at the bottom is the book and all the wallpaper pieces. I always like to look at the book, and it's pretty hefty and nice clear pictures. That's always a good sign. And I noticed no glue, so we're gonna have to provide our own glue. I think I'm gonna probably use my strong tacky glue for this one. I didn't see much metal, so probably don't need the clear glue too much. Alright, like I said, there's no glue included in this one, but ta-da! I have quite the collection. So one of these is bound to work for our project here. I'll probably, like I said, use just the plain old white tacky glue. That's usually good. But looking at the book, you know, the usual tips and tricks, and then it looks like the part numbers and pieces on the side. Usually that's a separate piece of paper, but that's okay. I like it all in one piece, then I don't lose them. Now, usually I start on the first project on the first page, but this time I think I'm going to change it up, and I'm just going to go straight to the back and build the building first. The number one thing I really like about this kit is every single wood piece is labeled. It's wonderful. It's so much easier. I wish everybody else would be on board with that. So A1, it matches with the pictures. Who would have thought, right? So let's go ahead and just build this little puppy from the bottom up. Looks like we have to take this little piece out. And that's probably where the battery pack goes. I'm just guessing here. There's only a couple sheets of paper like this, and I did notice that there was big creases down the middle. That could be a problem, could not be. So far, so good. If we glue it down really well, that crease shouldn't be a problem. Shouldn't. And a lot of it, and I was kind of looking through, it's covered by other furniture pieces, plants, and things like that. So it should stick out down nice and flat eventually as we go. And we've done this a few times before, right? So we're just going to start wallpapering our little pieces here, and this would be the very bottom base. And you see what I mean? Every piece is nicely labeled. It's really nice. And they punch out fairly easy, and it's nice thick little particle board. So basically we just take out the piece that we need and put it in the hole that they want it to be. I did find on this one that they all were very loose. So I did end up gluing almost every single piece. We've got a couple little pieces that are the dark brown color. So again, just find it. Super easy. Don't have to use charts. Not yet, anyway. And put it in the holes that they provide. Some tight, some loose, but a lot of them pretty much loose. At least the one I got. Now we got these little arch pieces, and I am assuming that they are to hold up the next floor that we're going to put on here. So just a little more, plus it's loose. I'm going to just secure it down with just a smidge of glue. I did use my clear glue on this one. Okay, our little gazebo, I guess it's more of a gazebo, right? Has a little stair step. Pretty easy. I did one piece at a time just so I wouldn't get confused which size is which. Although they're very different and they do fit nicely if you take them all out and get them mixed up. But you double up the steps and then just stack them up as they say. I stacked them up first and then I glued them to the project afterwards. I did decide to use this clear glue while I still had it. I like to use up all my stuff before I buy new glue. I haven't bought new glue in a long time. All these kits that we do, they give us a lot of extras. And ta-da, got some little stairs. And you could, I did sand off some of the little nubs on there, but later on I think I'm going to end up painting those just to make them look nice. Alright, next layer. So this one, this little funny looking piece, just put the floor covering on. I always do little circles around all the holes, you notice. That's so that it's secure when you cut all the individual little holes and punch them out. I don't punch out the holes first before sticking it down because, you know, that's just pressure to get them lined up. So I stick it down, then let it dry a little bit, and then punch out the little holes. It works out nicely. Plus you can use the wood as your guide there. And we got another floor piece. This goes on the top. Looks like it has a little pond there, so we're going to punch that out. Notice it's labeled. And so those little square pieces, I think those go with something else. Don't lose your pieces. I have a little pile on the side that you can't see that I just put them all in one spot. And try to keep the little numbers on them as much as possible. Same thing, just glue it down, go around the holes, let it dry, punch out the holes. Alright, so this very tippy top floor that goes where the dome is, it's a double layer. So what we're gonna do is it's gonna make like an illusion that there's a deep little pond on top there. So we're gonna cut this little pond out. And then we're going to glue it onto this piece, which is nicely outlined. Just glue it right there. And to give this even more depth, there's a little pond wall here, nicely labeled. And you notice there's pieces inside of the piece, so don't lose those little DO8 right there. I put it to the side. Save them, save them, save them. I still lose pieces no matter what. And I'm going to stick this goes on that piece, but I'm not going to cut it completely out just yet. It's just easier for me to glue one big piece rather than trying to line up a little skinny, scrawny little piece. So I stick this on and then I cut it out. I use the wood as the guide again. Kind of like when you use a jigsaw with a jig, you know. And while that's drying, there's an edging that goes all the way around the edge here. So we might as well do this while it's drying. It's a little easier to handle when it's a big chunky piece. And mine was a little bit long, so I'm just going to trim it. There we go. And when you do edgings like this, just start in a corner if you can, so that it makes sense, and then the seams don't look too obvious. And now that it's dry, you're going to see that it's real easy to cut this little guy out. Make sure your knife's sharp. Alright, and there you go. You got the little pond wall. Looks like little tiny pebbles. Okay, you're gonna start sandwiching these all together. So first the little wall goes on top here. And after you put that on, you'll notice that the inside of the wall is kind of bare wood. So we got this long strip here, and we're going to put that same thing that we did on the outside, we're going to do it on the inside here. It'll be double wide, but it'll cover that up. And there we go. Ta-da! Now it's a little rock wall for our pond. Before I got too involved in the walls, I wanted to make the lights first because they are integrated in there. And there's quite a few. There's 5 lights. So, pretty basic. We're going to take these and then we're going to do these little shrink tubes. You're going to put it on the end of every single one. Why these aren't pre-shrunk, I don't know. But that's okay. We know how to do this. So I'm just going to cover all 5 of these. I'm going to do them all at once. Why not? I'm going to hit it with the heat gun, and it just shrinks right around there. Seals up those exposed wires. Don't do, now my heat gun is, it's super hot, so make sure you don't stay on there too long. It will completely melt off if you do that. Don't do that. All right, now we're going to make one of the mini lights here, and it's pretty straightforward. You're just going to string up your beads. This one bead for me, the hole wasn't big enough, so I ended up kind of drilling it a little bit with my X-Acto knife to clear up that hole, because it was almost impossible to string it otherwise. Now when I put this little dome on there, it just kind of sits there. It does not stay on, so highly recommend definitely glue that little guy on. Otherwise it'll just fall right off. There we go. Light number 1 done. It's a pretty one too. In this build we have 2 major lights that you're going to see, and then a bunch of lights that go all the way around the edges. So this will be your second one, and you're going to do just like the first one. String it up. It's got a little tulip shape on it, so just put that on the end. And then you're going to put this little disc on here. It looks like a little steering wheel looking thing. So you just string that little guy on there. It'll all make sense when you start putting it all together. Everything has a purpose. And then lastly, you're going to put, they give you 2 little shrink tubes, and one of them is just going to go right over the wires here. You don't have to shrink them on. You could, I suppose. I didn't. But I think it's just to cover up the wires from when you put it on the dome piece, so it doesn't show too much. And then you're just going to glue it a little bit sideways here onto the wood, because that's how it's going to sit on the project there. So glue that down, and that light is pretty much done for now. And now we have a few more. This little project has a lot of lights, and the wires there's a lot to manage. But these little guys that look like, I don't know, happy pumpkins? Light sockets? But you're just going to build them just like they say in the chart. I'm going to build all 3 at the same time. Because, you build one, you might as well build them all. And these were very loose, so I glued everything. So just glue it into place. Alright, once you got the one side all glued and set there, don't put in the other wall yet, because what we're going to do is on each one of these, we're going to put a little light. There's 3 of them, so you're just going to glue it down to the bottom and then have the wire going up that corner. And I found, once I got that kind of glued in, while I'm holding that down, you might as well glue in the other side there. And these little side pieces, when you're done, it'll look kind of like that. And then you're going to do all 3 of them the same way. Alright, one more piece that I've seen that we need to make. is these little pictures because they need to be hung inside the walls. Like I said, I'm doing this completely backwards. Usually I make all the little parts and pieces first, and then I put it all together. I decided to be different today, and I wanted to build a building and see some progress, you know. But we got to make these little pictures. Easy enough. I sanded the sides to get the little nubbies off and just stick the pictures on. Can't be any easier. There you go. Nice easy little thing. And now we can build some more walls. And this is why we had to build those pictures before we could do this, because they need to go on these little archways that go on the inside. We could have waited and put them in later, but it's really tricky to hang pictures in these little tiny houses. I wish I really could shrink myself and just put them in there. But since we can't, we'll do it this way. All right, got another few parts done. Now this is the piece that we stuck the little pond picture on right there. So underneath here, before I put everything together, I need to put the light fixture in the middle. The more you could do ahead of time, it makes your life a whole lot easier later. Like I said, you could do everything later, but you're just gonna get mad. And it's not going to be any fun, so let's make it easier on ourselves. So we're just going to glue it here and make sure you do it just like they say in the chart. So make sure your wire goes where they want it to go, because there's a reason where they want it to string. And you see that little punch out hole there? That's where your top light is going to string through there and then string down through where my finger is, and then go down to the bottom where the power is. So like I said, there's a rhyme and reason. And you're going to see this wall has a hole too, so that one goes there. Just make sure you place them exactly where they say. Otherwise you're going to have to take it apart, put it back together. Not that I have ever done that before. Now, for some reason, I swear I thought I filmed myself putting all the other walls in, not just the one, but basically you're going to just do the same thing, and you're just going to go all the way around and put all your little wall pieces in. Just pretend I did that. Okay, so magically, I put all the walls around the top there where the pond is, and I stuck the pond piece on top as well. So now what we're going to do is put these little bump outs on. I found, because there's a lot of wires that you have to deal with, this is very fiddly, and you have to put these wires exactly where they say, otherwise it's not going to fit. So we're going to turn this upside down so that the light is on the top of these bump outs. And you're going to see how the wires from the tippy top, there's going to be one more on the very top where the dome is. It's going to thread down, and then it's going to connect up with the light in the middle of the pagoda there. Gazebo, whatever you want to call this little guy. And then it's all going to string down there. Just this particular light. So there's going to be 3 lights in these holes right here that I'm dealing with. The other ones have their own independent holes, the other 2. But these 3, are a little bit of a pain. Just do it slowly and then string them through. Probably the trickiest part I found was to, once you get the piece locked in there, is to tighten up all your loose wires. So just kind of gently pull them through because you don't know which wire goes where. So you just gotta kind of fiddle with it until it looks right. And I did end up gluing it kind of in the back end there. While I'm letting that one dry for a minute, I'm going to do this one, and there is a hole at the bottom there. So you're just going to string it through there. These all go underneath it eventually. That's why we have steps up to it and there's a big gap underneath. This is so all the wires can tuck up underneath there. This one's easy. We're just going to pull it through and glue this little guy in place. One more. We're going to do the same thing as the other side. And we're just going to string it through and then glue it in place. This thing has a lot of lights. I'm looking forward to seeing it when it's all done and lit up. It'll be a pretty one. Alright, we're in light mode, so we got one more light to do. So, but in order to put the light on, we have to kind of put the dome pieces on. Just the wood parts. We're not going to seal this up because we have to put a bunch of plants and things in there first. So first we're just going to build our little archways here. Pretty straightforward. You're just going to put these little pieces all the way around. And I did glue every single one of these because, again, they're super loose. And I don't want this little guy to fall apart. Okay, we got the dome part made. And while that's there, we're going to put the light. It's going to get glued right in that middle. This is why we made that little steering wheel looking piece. That's going to glue onto all those wood archways. And then the black wire area is going to go in between. It does fit in there. Actually, it goes along one of the arches. Now, while I'm holding this to dry, I'm going to stick it onto our project here and being mindful of where that wire is going to end up. So I want it to go to that far right little bump out. There's a hole there too that it goes down through. So I gotta put it over there. Everything fitting. It's a little fiddly and I wish I had 4 or 5 arms like an octopus. But it does all fit in. Now I'm a little off center here, but I'm gonna feed it through the little hole here that goes all the way down. Yeah, the wiring on this one is a little challenging. As long as you follow where they want you to put it, you should be okay. now that I got that strung down, I'm going to glue this piece in. I didn't want to glue it in ahead of time because I want to be able to manipulate things. So this is why we put the little black tube on there, so it kind of blends in a little better. So I'm just going to do it right along the side there. Just like that. There we go. All right, the tricky part. Now I have to string this through. There's a hole up inside there. See it in there above the picture frame? Yeah, kinda. And then we got to string that through there. This is what I mean was you want to put things on the walls before you get it all closed up. But this one it was unavoidable. I had to do it later on because I didn't know where it was going to go. This part took me a while, so I ended up using my pliers to try to pull it through. Finally got it through. Woo! And then you still have to string it down through the bottom too. This one's tight because there's 3 sets of wires going through the same hole, so it's a tight one. You know I get serious when the glasses come off. I'm going to look at this thing. I'm going to get in there. And then I'm stringing it through the bottom hole. You can't really see it. It's hard to demonstrate, but there we go. Ugh. Finally. Phew. And now I'm going to glue that down so it's a little more secure. Alright, we got that craziness done. Ooh, that was tough. And you can see all these thousands of wires. It's craziness. And I'm not trimming these down because I don't know how far, how long anything is. But I do know this one is going to string through here. You see these little holes in the little boxes where the punch outs are? Now we got to string those through there. Just keep stringing, stringing, stringing. Alright, now we got all our messy wires going all over the place, including the one that has the bunches of 3. Now somehow we gotta set this guy on top of here without messing up our wiring. Easier said than done. This has a little on-off switch that it's going to attach to the back. It's kind of nice because I wish some of them had an easier accessible on-off switch. So we're going to glue that. There's a little hole in the back you can see there, and that's just going to go right in there. This is just a tangled mess, and I'm going to do my best to organize this. But first we got to glue the power switch onto the back. Once we got that in place, it kind of dictates where our power thing is going to be. So now we can start attaching all of these wires to the power switch. And we've done this a few times before, maybe not with this many lights, but basically you're going to organize all the gray wires and all the white wires and connect it to the corresponding either red or black. I did end up kind of trimming these down a little bit, just so that they're not too long, right there. And then you're just going to strip the plastic end off of each wire. There's a lot of them. It's nice they do provide the shrink tubes here, so make sure you put the shrink tubes on your wires first before you twist them together. I have made that mistake several times, but we're just organizing wires, basically like combing a very messy head of hair. And gray wires, I forget which goes to which, but get all your gray wires, all your white wires, and then put them together. Looks like all the gray wires go to the black wire, and all the white wires go to the red wire. And before I seal anything up, before I shrink wrap those or anything like that, I always test. One thing is you got to make sure your power at the main where the batteries are is turned on. Leave that on. And then the switch that goes to the back of your project, that's going to be your main, you can turn it on and off from there. If your power switch isn't on, it's not going to work. You just got to turn that on, make sure they're both on. I made that mistake, so I was like, why isn't this working? Oh, you got to turn that one on too. There's two switches, basically. Okay, I think we finally got all this mess organized. The shrink tube's all shrunk, and now we're going to try. We'll still have to organize it a little bit more once we get this little guy connected to the base. It's tricky to pull the wires and put this on, pull the wires, put it on. Take your time. And I did put glops of glue here and there just to secure this little guy on. Now what I did once I had this all glued on is I pulled the power source out and then just kind of pulled all these wires down, trying to organize it a little more so it's nice and straight. I don't like all these wires sticking out too much. It's kind of like the back of our TV, you know? Try to make it as neat as possible. It is going to get all covered up, but it's nice to do it now while you can. Now you can see here that I put a little bit extra tape here and there just to kind of tie it up. So I can tuck it inside. And we'll test it. Hey, it lights up. We didn't knock anything out. Yay! Phew! The lighting and wiring, that's the hardest part, is done. Now I'm just going to leave that switch down there on to the on position, and then you just put this little covering on. You can take it off and go in there and change the batteries and things like that, but you can just leave that on, and then the outside switch is going to be able to be accessed to turn it on and off. And just tape this down. It's being difficult, but we can get that on there. Alright, so we got this far, and I thought, you know what, let's make these front steps a little bit prettier. This is totally optional, but I decided to go ahead and paint them. Needs another coat or two, but yeah, there we go. Looks a little more finished. And now we're going to put all the little windows on. Just goes right where it says there. It fits. Amazing. It's really nice to do that. A nice, easy little part, just gluing on windows, especially after the nightmare of the wiring and all that. Ugh. Something that's instant gratification here. Just glue a window on. that we got all the little windows, now we gotta make these little ledges. I think they end up being kind of little planter boxes after a while. So we're just gonna put these together. Pretty straightforward. These actually fit kind of tight. Maybe not. Might need to glue that. And it's just gonna sit right in the little slot there. I just made it a habit to put a dollop of glue everywhere. And just go all the way around the edge, doing the same thing. Everything 3 by 3. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put these little ribs in. So there's 2 of them on each one, and they just kind of set there. So I do recommend gluing. There we go. We got all 3 of the little planter box guys in. Building's almost done. And now we're going to cover up all those wires that show. So you notice that there's a hole right in the middle. So we're going to start there, because that's where the power switch is. I'm going to spin this around and line it up. So I'm going to start in the middle here, right where it says. It should go right over it. It does have a little notch for where the wire is too. It's a little fiddly. But once we get started there, that should fit all the way around. And now around this last corner, I kind of pre-folded it. I pre-folded it where the dotted lines were, and look at that. Fits. Just like it says. Amazing. And it hides all that wire nightmare. We don't want to see it anymore. Last thing we're going to do is put these little brown pieces on the tops of each of the little side tower things. And that's pretty much it. For this part anyway. Look at that. We made a gazebo. There's nothing in it yet, but that's okay. That's how you get them, right? And then you fill them up with pretty stuff. So the next video, I think I'm going to make all the little furniture. There's quite a bit. There's some chairs and tables and things like that. And then our favorite thing, the next video after that will be all the plants and putting it together. So stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already so you don't miss any of those. It's very exciting, I know. And also, I have lots and lots more videos to come. I try to upload weekly, so every Sunday, just keep an eye out for my videos. Keeps me on my toes. I have to give myself a deadline, otherwise, I'll procrastinate forever. And if you like it, definitely give it a thumbs up, the little like, and comment. I love listening to all your comments. I read them all, so I see you. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.